Hello, everyone. This is the Highlander from the Highlander Wrestling Show coming back at you again. My next video is going to be about the one and only George the Animal Steele. He was an actor at one time. He played in a movie. It was a black and white film. I'm not sure what the movie was called or nothing like that. I've been trying to figure out what that movie is, so I want to see it. He was born William James Myers, April the 16th, 1937. Passed away February the 16th, 2017, at the age of 79. George Animal Steele, a lot of people around my age and older remember him as the green tongue, hairy guy who had a stuffed animal. I wish I knew what they call that stuffed animal because I would love to get a hold of one just to say I had one. George Animal Steele he was a turnbuckle eating character off of WWE, or at the time WWF Saturday Night Main Event and all that. You know, he was a big success. Unusual wrestler. Like I said, he was hairy. He had a shaved head. He was managed by Captain Louis Albano at one time, but before he was a good guy, he was actually a heel. He went up against Bruno Sammartino back in the 60s. And, of course, he lost. There, before he became a good guy, he was managed by Classy Freddie Blassie. And they went up against, let's see, it was George Animal Steele, and I think, no, excuse me, it wasn't Classy Freddie Blassie, it was Mr. Fuji, I believe. Yeah, because it was them two against Hulk Hogan and Mean Gene Okerlund. And then after that, he became a good guy. George Animal Steele. He wasn't brainwashed or nothing like that. One time they actually had a psychiatrist come there to try to see if they can get him to talk, about, you know, try to domesticate him, I guess is what they was doing, but he still ate the turnbuckles, which was what I loved about it. He'll get mad with the referee and pull out the stuffings and get after the referee, trying to make him eat it and everything. But anyway, George the Animal Steele was around during the Capital Wrestling Alliance, which I probably seen the building on the NXT takeover. They had at the Capital Wrestling Alliance building. I would love to see that building because those buildings there had a lot of history. Capital Wrestling, that was owned by the McMahons, of course. Uh, George the Animal Steele, let's see, make sure he's got 3 kids. I got this so I can remember it. He was married to Pat Myers in 1956. They never got a divorce, so they were still together. That was the good thing about that generation. A lot of them didn't. Once they married, they stayed married. And he had kidney failure was his cause of death, which was very sad and tragic because he was a lovable character. Um, he was he was a big draw during the 80s and, well, all the way up to when I was like 6 years old. I remember seeing George Animal Steele. I used to like the fact that he would eat the turnbuckles and everything. One of his matches he had, I believe, was at WrestleMania 1. He went up against Macho Man Randy Savage, and he was infatuated in love with Miss Elizabeth, which, I remember of course, the Macho Man, he got, George Animal still had the Macho Man by the nose. I guess everybody thought he was supposed to eat the nose, and he bit Macho Man on the arm. And I remember one of the fans gave Miss Elizabeth a bouquet of flowers. So the Macho Man go out there and snatches away from one of the fans and goes in there and starts slapping George Animal Steele with that bouquet of flowers. And of course, that made George mad. So he takes it away from him and makes him eat. Tried to make him eat the bouquet of flowers. Then, of course, he went to eating on the turnbuckles and what he always does. George was, like I said, one of a kind, entertaining wrestler. He wasn't that great as far as technician goes and all that. He was just a person you had to go see because he was just unique. Nobody else was like him. And of course, at the time when he first started, it was a Worldwide Wrestling Federation or Capital Wrestling Alliance. Um, George Steele was he also was in a lot of matches back then against people like the Iron Sheik. He wanted to get revenge on the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov. He even got in the ring with Kamala, which the two it was when I remember the match. It was like they was trying to figure each other out, and George got let's see how did it get started. Yeah, they tied up, and then Kamala gives George a karate chop, and then he does a splash, and they had to take George out on the stretcher. So George lost the match pretty, not way everybody wanted to see because, I mean, there was like two primitive individuals in the ring. Uh, George also, he never held a title. Why, I don't know, but he never did. I think he would have been a good Intercontinental Champion. Uh, but I remember one of the things he got after, no, excuse me, it was George Animal Steel the British Bulldogs, and of course, him and Matilda were really good friends. I guess, it was made look like it was because it was George Animal Steel and Matilda the Bulldog. So they were really good friends. I don't think they licked each other. I hope not. Anyway, sorry about that. I had to put a little humor out there. No harm attended on that whole deal because I love George Animal Steel. He was a cool character to see. A good man too, from what I've seen him on YouTube shoot interviews and stuff. He was a straight up man. He was just he was a gentleman. Uh, George the Animal Steel. He was he had it that he had the eye for the ladies as his character goes. He had the eyes for the ladies. Of course, this like goes back to that thing, the Beauty and the Beast. Uh, but George, one of the things they had on Saturday Night Main Event is where Mean Gene Oakland used to do what they call interviews and everything. And he comes up, he has to go to the zoo, and he's wearing a safari hat, and the outfit, and he was looking on the hunt to find George Animal Steel. So he finally finds him, and George Animal Steel goes all around the zoo, and everything, and saw the elephants, the hippos. He was comparing all the the hill wrestlers to the animals he was seeing. Like he said that the hippo was King Kong Bundy. The macats, I believe that's what the name of those monkeys were. No, well, anyway, they look like like raccoon uh, monkey. He said they look like he said that was Bobby the Brain Heenan, a weasel. Uh, so yeah, it was a lot of fun stuff. They used to do on Saturday Night Main Event. That was a big time. I loved it growing up. I was real small at the time, but I remember the '80s. But George Animal Steel, like I said, he was an actor. He was in a movie, black and white film. But I wish I knew what the name of the movie was. I'd like to have seen it just to say I seen it because he was in it. George Animal Steel also he also tagged with Hulk Hogan when he became a babyface. Uh, I think it was Hulk Hogan, George Animal Steel, and Junkyard Dog, which that was everybody's favorite, Junkyard Dog, the Thump. But yeah, but George Animal Steel had a long, good career in the World Wrestling Federation. As far as I know, that is the only wrestling promotion he ever attended in was for the McMahon Company because they were originally the capital wrestling of all the wrestling. They had the capital states, and it was originally Anyway, I'll get on that on another video on the what I've actually saw on that whole thing about Capital Wrestling and National Wrestling Alliance and all that. So that's for another video. But excuse me, George Animal Steel. Back in the when I was small, this was one of my figures I've had for years and years. Of course, he's in bad shape. You can tell he's been played with. My LJN George the Animal Steel LJN figure. I've had this thing for years, ever since I can remember. And my brother at the time got it for me for my birthday when I was like 4 years old. So I would have somebody to play with my Jesse the Body Ventura, which my mother and grandmother thought it was Hulk Hogan. And even back then, I could tell the difference who is who. At 3 years old, I told her that wasn't Hulk Hogan, that was Jesse Ventura. And but like I said, I've been watching wrestling for a long time, so just so is Newton. So Newton's got a few years ahead of me. So does my wife. Uh, she's she's riding along here with me. She helps me get all this stuff put up and everything. So, but yeah, George the Animal Steel. Like I said, he had the green tongue. He wore a black shirt with the red collar and the ring around the arm sleeves, and all that. And he had the black and red uh, tights, pants tights. And I think that was the only colors he's ever wore. He's been using them for 40 years at the time. I was wondering too, since the 70s. Well, I'll just go ahead and just say the 70s, be on the safe side. Let's say 1968, 1967. I've always wondered if him and Gorilla Monsoon ever got in the ring against each other during that period of time, because they was both right there at at the moment. So I was always wondering. I would love to see that if they did. Uh, but anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. Um, Hope everybody out there enjoyed it. Be sure to watch out for my good friend Ultimo Gallows. Always got videos coming up, good ones and everything. And be sure to look out for SWA Battle Zone Championship Wrestling, BLW Wrestling in the areas, especially here in the Mississippi areas. And everybody stay safe out there from this hurricane that's come up on us, and which I think is done made landfall now, and I think it's toned down some. I don't think in my part of Mississippi I'm going to get anything out of it. We're not going to get anything really bad out of it, but y'all keep the Louisiana in your prayers, and Jackson, Mississippi, and Alabama. And anyway, y'all take care tonight. I hope everybody enjoys the video. If you have any comments or anything to ask me or say, leave me a comment on this video, and I will try to get back with y'all as soon as I can on response. So, everybody take care.